Great. Again, this is a very interesting piece which I wanted to, kind of talk a few words, and this will be very interesting for the startup ecosystem. What really is marketing for startups, and how marketing for startups can be quite different from marketing for large organizations or brands. And I, having worked in some of the largest multinationals and some of the largest Indian promoter companies and some of the startups in India, I think I have understood the difference between these two, and I want to share some of the insights of that. So the first thing of marketing in startups is that obviously you may not have large budgets, so you have to understand the concept of frugal marketing. That's first. Second concept is that frugal marketing means ability to really achieve some goals, not necessarily with a sledgehammer approach. The second thing of in a startup is that it's often dependent on how the business performs and money is coming. So you have to have extreme flexibility in your long-term and short-term marketing programs. So as the CMO or the CEO or the founder, you need to have a very focused marketing approach, yet very flexible. So focused and flexible, these are the two words. Third point I wanted to say about startup marketing, and I have written a small paper on Business India article which is called Zero Marketing with frugal marketing. Smart marketing today is all about zero cost marketing. Yeah, so you can check it up in my website or on Business India. There it is not about always spending big budgets, but you can do differential things which can make it smart and stand out. One of the things oftentimes a lot of people do not seem to able to do is, sometimes you can do certain marketing activities which will actually get hyperboled and pumped up by the whole media and PR cycle. So you can do some marketing. So the marketing has an impact, but it is essentially how PR and media is pumping it up which really increases the reach. So that is another thing which you have to remember. The next point of startup marketing is, it's very important to have an annual barometer. Try to do things in steps, not try to do the big thing in one go. That's very important. So, and here there is a very simple thing which is called a DESCO balance scorecard or the wheel. And I have drawn my marketing inspiration for the annual barometer of startups from this, which is essentially called C1, C2, C3, C4 marketing, and you must go through this cycle rather than going directly to C3 or C4. So what is C1? C1 essentially is your first bit of marketing you must do with your internal stakeholders or your colleagues, as we call, so internal people in the organization. So first, whether you are launching a brand, product, or whatever, a change, a new startup, first do it with your employees. So employees have to become the biggest marketing ambassadors and brand ambassadors for you. That's one. C2 is your next set of people, which are your trade, your partners, your vendors, your suppliers, your distributors, the people who will take it to the end consumers. So that is C2. So please do the marketing to them. C3 is really your end consumers. So whether it is for a FMCG or an app or whatever, it's the end consumers, which all marketing people and sales people understand that you have to market to the end consumers. And C4 is essentially something which is beyond the end consumer, which is called the community. So today, community has a big marketing feedback on the brand itself, and we never work in isolation. So it's very important to also market to the community. And what community essentially means that like in a large hypermarket, there will be certain end consumers and certain people who live in the catchment who may not be your consumers, but still the community is very important. You need to market to them. So these are some of the fundamentals of marketing which is slightly different in a startup. And the last thing in startup which I want to say is that essentially the strategy is also driven by the founders and the people who are in the startup. So its marketing is not just external marketing, it's very much internal marketing. So there is not much of difference between personal life and public life and personal versus public marketing. So that's the other catch in startups. So it's all a complete system. Utilize your people, your suppliers, your internal employees, stakeholders, each and every bit for great quality marketing. And finally, the essence of marketing remains the same, which is please define your brand essence and do not deviate from the brand essence, whether you are a large company or a startup. That needs to be constant, and do not do too many things, fritter away your resources. Do a few things, do it well, and do it with a lot of passion. So this is my advice to startups. So that's called startup marketing. Thank you.